UIC. Freedom the people of need. Hell yeah. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready fi broke every chain. The one.
Citizens engaging with the police force in the way that they have been. And it was disheartening to see police officers, or rather soldiers, raising their feet to kick a pregnant woman in her stomach, after shoving her and all kind of things. Now, of course, there are always three sides to a story, yours, mine, and the truth. We were not there on the ground to see exactly all the pieces that transpired, but we do have a certain degree of expectation from, our soldiers and police officers. So we're going to talk about that. Good morning to all of you. Tracy Blake, good morning. Good to see you. I hear that the sound quality is very poor. Let me know if that is better. Just need to raise my voice some more. Let me know if that's good. Good to see you on, Sylvester Lawrence. Still hearing that the sound quality is not so good. I just did a talk a while ago on the Leo Gilling show. There was no problems then, so I'm wondering why we have a problem now. But hopefully the quality is getting better. How is that? Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me any better. Somebody says not hearing at all. I wonder why. Honestly, don't know what to do to stop these sound problems. Sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not working. I am not sure what is the reason for that. But good morning. Hope it's better. Hope you can hear me better now. Earlier, I was just kind of talking about, what's going on in the country. We see the police and the soldiers on the street. We see citizens getting into fights with them. Of course, an unequal fight because the lawmen have the upper hand. But it's very disconcerting to watch, and I know all of you are seeing it. And it's not a good look for Jamaica. We're looking more and more like a police state. We're looking more like a dictatorship. We're looking more like our government is losing control and can only have control by using brute force. And so I'm very concerned and very worried. So this morning I want to take your questions, more for Q&A. I don't want to do much, much of a speech. I want to take your questions and answer your concerns on any questions you may have. So this morning it's entirely about Q&A. So whatever you want to talk about, I will talk about. So you just write in the comment box and let me know what is it that you want to hear. Welcome, Jamaican Carlos. Good to see you on. Thank you very much. Richard McFarlane, good to see you on as well. Good morning, Peter White. Good morning, Steve Lynn. Steve, I really appreciate your long-standing and big support. I I hear from you every now and again. I want to thank all of you for that. But I am very disturbed about the direction our country is going. You see what's happening with what has happened over the last 7 years of the current administration. You've seen how the exchange rate has gone the wrong way. Inflation rate has gone the wrong way. Crime has gone the wrong way. The police brutality has increased. The dysfunctionality of our inner city communities are more and more evident. Many of our students are leaving school and going into scamming because they think that going into scamming is better than remaining in the classroom. So we're in a very bad position as a country right now. And this is really due to 78 years of bad governance. It's like a scratched record. You hear me say this all the time. Yeah. JJ says, Mr. Patterson, I think if the government did address his MP beating a woman on video properly, this probably would not have happened. That's a very interesting point you have raised, JJ. You saw what happened with Mr. Wright in the woman beating incident. And again, we don't know the full story. We don't know because the lady hasn't made press charges and we haven't heard the full context. But the manner in which it was handled by the government clearly did not leave the nation in a settled position as to, how this government view this kind of behavior and the kind of leadership that the Jamaican people should expect from those who hold public office. I must admit that this is not new to Jamaica. We've seen a lot of this kind of behavior over the years, and it has become commonplace. Become a part of the Jamaican experience of having men beating up women and that kind of stuff, and it's very unhealthy. Vice versa, we don't want to have women beating up men either. So we need to have better ways of solving our conflicts. And so I understand. Good morning, Carol Young. Good to see you on. So yes, any other questions that you want me to talk about this morning? I am here to talk about it. I'm sitting in the beautiful parish of St. Elizabeth here on the farm. Just came off another live with on the Leo Gillen show. You might recall, if some of you saw it, I was on last week on the same show. Very different from week to week. So last week was very pleasant and very happy and a lovely discussion. This week I could see that it was a bit more tense, and I think I know what it is. I'm guessing here, and I think it has to do with the fact that after they have the conversation, maybe some people get to them and say, boy, give UIC airtime and all of that, because there's a concerted effort on the way right now to make sure that the Jamaican people do not, and I repeat, do not hear from the UIC. And so people are being threatened, people are being victimized, people are finding it uncomfortable to give the UIC airtime. But why is that? Why is a little party like ours so much of a threat to the powers that be? I wonder why. I see a long comment here from who is this? Wow, this is very long, Richard. The pain of the masses. I can't read that one, Richard. It's too long. Can you break it down into a question, maybe? Yeah. Purpose driven. Welcome to the live as well. Good to see you on. That one too long, Richard. I can't look at that one. Sorry about that. Let me see what else we have here. Citizens must learn to use the necessary channels to make their grouses be heard. Fighting with security forces not smart. You, Mr. Patterson, did correct thing. What was that? No, correct thing when you were being arrested. Thank you, cool guy. Now, cool guy, let's remember what we're talking about here. We're dealing with the product of 78 years of these two parties. What you're seeing in the inner city, these are communities designed, created, and cultured by these two parties. Now that they're trying to do what they call law enforcement, it's kind of a oxymoron, because those who create the lawlessness are now telling us they want to fix that lawlessness, and they're trying to fix it with brute force. Having built these communities, they were the ones who supported the gangs, they were the ones who created the garrisons. They don't have the moral authority. They don't have the moral authority that is needed now to fix the problem. And that's what we're struggling with. How you think the people down there respect the police and the soldier when they know, they see what the politicians come and do in their community with them? These are the people who have been organized into groups to do terrible things, to steal ballot boxes, to stuff boxes, to buy votes, to go and terrorize other citizens in other communities. All kinds of negative has been done by these citizens under the leadership of the two parties, and then now we're expecting them to behave civil. Yeah, have you ever seen the behavior of the political leadership on the campaign trail? Have you ever heard them at their meetings, the things that they say? Yeah, the aggressive things that they advance on the political stage. So anyways, another question here from, it looks like Marsha Lee. She says, how can we, where is it now? Just how can we as ordinary citizens do our part to shore up support for the UIC? Thank you, Marsha Lee. It's a word of mouth campaign. We, the citizens of Jamaica, will have to bypass the powers that be and get the message of the UIC to our family and friends in our communities. And we have to organize and do community tours and 14 parish tours like we did the other day. The other day we went to 13 of the 14 parishes, and now we need to do it again. But we do need your financial support to do that. And so you have to help us by volunteering, by donating, and helping us to go across the country. Yeah. Another question here. We start by fixing the crime problem by the government making a public apology for creating this mess in 1980. All right. Yes, that's a very good point for us to start. And that's why the UIC has what we call a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We would like for persons to, we want to have a Truth and Reconciliation Commission where we bring Jamaicans from all stripes to come and tell the truth about what has happened to us, and to share that truth with the rest of us, and to help us to come to terms with what was done by who and when and why, and the impact it has had on Jamaica, so we can move forward. So yes, that's a very important point that you have made for us to do. Another question is, what are you going to do about these corrupt police who are doing so much corruption and citizens cannot report them and being safe because of the commissioner and his cronies? So therein lies the problems. Purpose-driven vibes, that's the problem. The citizens cannot trust the police, and this is not an easy fix. We're asking the JLP and the PNP to fix a problem that they have created and supervised and perfected over the years. So it's Jamaica will never fix the crime problem with these two parties. I can tell you that. All we're going to see happening is what we're seeing now. We're going to have brutal encounters between a corrupt police force, a corrupted army, and a corrupt government leading them. So it will never come to an end. I'm being very honest with you. The only way we can fix the crime problem in Jamaica is by replacing those who have lost the moral authority to lead us in the fight against crime. We must replace them. We must give ourselves a chance to breathe, start over, a chance to truly, with confidence and with the moral authority, now seek to change the systems and structures, change the command chain, take out some bad apples out of the system, and re-engineer, the minds and thought processes of our police structure, of our military structure, of our justice system, and of course, even our social order in terms of our economy and all the institutions that support that. So it really requires new governance, fresh governance, uh, some different people, some different mindset. And the UIC is talking about a completely new system, a system of governance with the appropriate checks and balances. There's no other way. There's no way that these two parties that have created the problem will be able to solve it, because to solve it, they have to cut off their own nose, right? They're going to have to beat up their own people. They're going to have to kill their own people. They're going to have to lock up their own people. They're going to have to suppress evidence. They're going to have to prevent people from going to court. So it's just more corruption. So in order for them to undo the mess that they have done, they will have to do more messes, because they have to silence people who know things. You can't afford to have a true judicial system where evidence are brought forward and witnesses come forward and you're going to call names. You're going to hear names that you're going to be shocked about. So there's no way for the current government or a government under the leadership of the opposition will be able to truly address the crime problem. They can only put band-aids here and band-aids there. They can only try to give a semblance. They can only try to quiet it down a bit, to see if they can get some political mileage, but they can't actually address the problem of crime from the top down where it has to be addressed. Yeah. Many of you may know this right now. Many of you may know that there are persons sitting in our parliament right now that if the night should turn to day, they would have to go to jail. You know that. So how will people have confidence? How will the citizens, the citizens you see in the ghettos, in the garrisons, in the squatter communities, who you see behaving a certain way, they may not have big intellect or degrees and all of that, or can speak properly or know how to conduct themselves in a way that you would consider to be appropriate. But them know things. Them know where going. They understand the undercurrent. They know what is going on at the root, and that is why they don't have respect for the security forces. So it's not just about people trying to cover up for criminals, which is also a fact. There are people in these communities, mothers, fathers, aunties, uncles, who are covering up for known criminals. Yes. And they feel justified in doing this because they also know that the very people who are sending police and soldiers after them are themselves not clean. So we have a vicious cycle here of us asking persons who are implicated in crime to go after persons who are implicated in crimes. We're asking those in authority who have masterminded all kinds of criminal activities to now stamp out criminal activities. I hope you see the problem here. I hope you understand what's going on. Yeah? I hope you see what is going on. We have a serious problem, and it cannot be solved by those who are responsible for creating the problem. And don't ask people to just go and report to other criminals. That sounds nice. It's nice for any one of us to sit here and say, if you know somebody who is a criminal, go and report them. How many of you, if you were living in one of those inner city communities and know a criminal, know somebody that is a criminal, how many of you would feel comfortable to go and tell the police that you know this criminal here? Many of you, if you saw a crime, you're living in your nice community, and you saw a crime, you saw a bad man do something, you see him face, You remember the day, the time, the place, the clothes he's wearing. How many of you would confidently take up the phone and call the police and said, I would like to give a statement on that criminal activity that I just saw here? Let us stop playing games. Jamaica is a very, very, very corrupt society. And that's why many of you would not take up the phone and call. You would not go down to the station and give a report because you know the reality that you're living in. Yeah? So Jamaica is a facade. It's a lie. That is why you don't hear the UIC on television. Yes, there's a facade that Jamaica is a free democratic country, but that's a lie. That's not true. Jamaica is a dictatorship run by the PNP and GLP with the permission and funding of the PSOJ. And they would like to keep it that way. Elections in Jamaica are a facade. They're held only to give the appearance of a democracy, to give legitimacy to those who are in power, so that to the world, it seemed like a legitimate sovereign country being run in a relatively decent way. But everybody who can think knows that's a lie. That is why you do not see the UIC on TV. That is why you do not see the UIC in the newspaper. That's why you don't hear us on the radio generally. That is why now even some bloggers are afraid to have us on their programs, because if they are here in Jamaica and have a good job, their jobs are now in jeopardy because they were seen laughing and talking with Mr. Patterson on a blog. And so now they're threatened, victimized. That is the Jamaica in which we live right now. So let us not fool ourselves. Let us start seeing Jamaica for what it is. Jamaica is a failed state with a nice varnish over it. The Jamaican people are losing every ounce of freedom they have, little by little by little. When you're poor, you have no freedom. Others decide for you. They decide what education you will get. They decide what health care you will get. They decide where you will be allowed to live. They decide where you will be allowed to move around in, what space. They can take away your beaches. They can lock you out of certain communities. In other words, you can exist in a Jamaica which claims to be free, but you're not free. Freedom is reserved for those who are wealthy and connected. That's the Jamaica in which we live. And so we can't even guarantee free and fair elections. Yeah? Of course, they will tell us that we have had free and fair elections. Yes, we now have free and fair elections of either the PNP or the JLP. No, that is not free and fair. All it is that they have now gotten us comfortable to say, I just got off a discussion a while ago where one young lady says she's very comfortable with the constitution that we have. She's very comfortable with the system of governance that we have. Now, I know she's an intelligent person. She's a bright person. So what brings her to say that? Why did she feel it necessary to say that on the call today, when she knows that this constitution that we have, this system of governance that we have, has consistently failed the majority of Jamaicans? And that is why, if you look closely, every year, less and less Jamaicans participate in the electoral process, because they know it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Thank you very much, Beverly Smith. Thank you for joining. Blessings to you as well. Question from Marva Stewart, diaspora watching. Please help Joseph to change the trajectory the country is going with those corrupt people in power. Thank you, Marva Stewart. I need all of you to help me to help you. This is not about me. If I wanted to do well in politics, I could easily have joined the PNP or the JLP. If all this was about was getting elected and having political office and having access to your tax dollars, the easiest path for me would have been to join one or the other. I would have already been elected, putting up my foot and enjoying the benefits of your tax dollars, the connections that it brings, the avenues it would open, and all the wealth and enjoyment that's possible. If one wants to be wealthy in Jamaica, the surest path to that is to be either among the oligarchs, the elites of the PSOJ, or to be one of the elected few, the 63 MPs under one of the two colonial parties, or a lesser being as one of the 228 councillor candidates. Those are lesser beings. They have less access, but some nonetheless. So I'm telling you, it's a farce. It's a facade. We have a seriously dysfunctional country, a country which is every day ripping off the people of Jamaica. Every time the Prime Minister opens his mouth, it's another deception, another lie, another trick. Every time the opposition leader opens his mouth, another deception, another lie, another trick. They have spent the last 78 years perfecting how to lie to and trick the Jamaican people into giving them power to consistently extract the wealth of the people while destroying us as a people. We're losing our soul. We're losing our purpose. We're losing our mission. We're losing everything that makes us Jamaican. Each and every day, they're destroying the moral fabric of our society, whittling us down to nothing more than a tribal individual fighting for scarce benefits and spoils, either as a partisan or simply as a scammer. That's the Jamaica which they have created and are creating. And the question is, how much longer will we allow them to do this to us? Many people have taken to seeing politics as just entertainment. So they kind of look at the UIC now as the clown, the jester, another little comical element in the political process. And they're looking on and saying, oh, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? And so on. They think it's a joke. They don't realize that we're talking about the life of our people, the existence of our country. They don't realize how serious it is. And they're asking others to do something. They're asking the diaspora to do something, or they're asking somebody else. No, you and me have to do it. We have to do it, my people. We have to step up. We must not look or wait or hope for somebody else to fix our country. The two parties, they're not waiting. Every day they are strategizing what new trick can we pull off on the people of Jamaica? What will we use to deceive them now? Yeah, every day, that's it. You see emails now, you see WhatsApp messages being leaked, and you see people talking about fake it until you make it, and they're planning, who to tear down and whatever. You see the internal stuff going on. The game plan of the two parties is simply to win and hold power as long as they can, and then change over to the next one. But who wins? In all of this, the people who win are the PSOJ oligarchs, those who give the $300 million in one election and the millions more outside of the election cycle. They win because whether or not you elect one of the two parties, they are firmly in control of our banking system. They are firmly in control of our foreign exchange reserve. They're firmly in control of the policies and regulations and laws that are passed. And all those laws, all those regulations, all those policies, and the $912 billion budget is there to make the PSOJ oligarchs richer. And in the process, the leadership of the two major political parties, they get richer in turn too. They have to figure out new sly and tricky means in which to extract that wealth so that it doesn't appear fully for what it is, which is theft. So they have to find new and strategic ways to embezzle the funds. You have some who have taxi services. You have some who have trucking companies that are part of the bauxite mining establishment. You have some with special contracts. They have third parties who they work through and so on. But their goal is to hold on to power and to milk the Jamaican people while saying nice words like zones of special operations. Yeah. So they're there just strategically extracting the wealth of the people every day while making politics a bit comical for you. Yeah. Trudy Ann Mackenzie says, we thirst for good governance, sir. We cannot continue to support the nonsensical parties. Thank you, Trudy Ann, and I hope many more will see it the way you do and help. Dale Lauren says, good afternoon, Mr. Patterson. Who is the representative for Northern Clarendon? Please go on our website. I think we have them all listed there now, or they're in the process of being listed shortly. Let me see what else we have here. I see Mr. Wilson. Welcome, Mr. Wilson. I'm trying to get some more questions here. Beverly said they're in conflict, as I explained before. Yes. Marsha Lee says you are being and will be blocked from all angles by the other two parties. What are the steps you are taking and measures you have and will put in place to mitigate against and overcome these blocks? Marsha Lee, you are the answer. You are the answer. Each and every one of you here right now, my typical posts have, or my video presentations on UIC Liberty TV. Normally there's about 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 persons who are viewing. If I go on one of the bloggers like Unstoppable or Jamaican Carlos, we'll have 30,000, 20,000, 50,000 persons viewing. You are the answer. You are the only way. We have no other way of reaching the people. We're not buying television ads. We don't have the money to buy television ads, and I'm not inclined to buy television ads. We don't have radio ads. We don't have newspaper ads. In fact, I am completely opposed to radio, television, and newspaper at this point. What we do now, I see many of our supporters going online on these platforms and writing about the UIC, sharing our ideas with the people and telling people about the UIC. And that's what we need to do. Thanks to your donations, we get to go into communities. We travel to communities and we communicate with the people in those communities. We did a wonderful 14 parish tour the other day, which depleted our reserves, but we're rebuilding with thanks to your help. Somebody here, JJ, says police officers can't touch some guys living in some areas. Very biased system. Yes, in fact, what they do, they go and beat up the easy people. They beat up the vulnerable, and so on. They can't find the real people in most cases. Yeah. The word Jamaica needs to be changed. Scotty is saying we need to change the word Jamaica. Well, Scotty, that's the easy part. There's much bigger problems than the name. I wouldn't even focus on changing the name right now. I want to change the system because it's the system that's killing us. My name is Joseph Patterson. That's a slave name that comes from my slave heritage. But what's more important than the name Joseph Patterson is my character. have I changed myself into the person that I need to be? And so even though I have a name which is not the best name, it's my slave master's name, my from the slave heritage, but my personal character, I have shaped that. I have shaped who I am by my own personal choices. And it's time for us as a people to reshape Jamaica as well. The name may not be the name we would have selected if we had a chance to do that, 100, 150 years ago, 200 years ago. But put the name aside. Let's focus on the real substantive issue now, which is our system of governance. Adrian says, "Good morning, Mr. Patterson. What are your recommendations for getting rid of the garrison culture in Jamaica? I don't think that just empowering inner city youth alone will get it done." Oh, Adrian Enriquez, the best way to get rid of the garrison culture in Jamaica is to get rid of the garrison government in Jamaica. The garrison culture was created by these two parties, and we need to get rid of those two parties in terms of electing the UIC to change the culture of the country. And the UIC will change the culture of the country on so many levels. Just think about our 10-point plan. The first item on our 10-point plan is to introduce what we call the Youth Employment Solution. Now, the Youth Employment Solution, or YES for short, is a program that's going to ensure that every single child who leaves the current educational system and is not going into a job or a university or a trades program, that they're absorbed into a national apprenticeship program called YES, the Youth Employment Solution. This will mean that all of those young persons are going to get on the job training from here going forward. So no more left to languish in society. They're all going into a job immediately. It's a paid job. They're going to be responsible for real tasks and have real responsibilities, productive responsibilities. They're going to learn the skills that they need to succeed in society on the job. They're going to be paid while they're doing it. They're going to be off the streets and away from the gangs and see a different way of life apart from the ghetto or garrison in which they're living. That's one part of our solution. Another part of the solution to get rid of the garrison culture is what we plan to do with our police and our army. We're going to move the army away from what the prime minister is doing now. He's using them as a blunt instrument, a brute force in our society at the moment, which is it's awful, because that's not the job of an army. You're misusing the army and you're putting their integrity at risk and Jamaicans at risk, because the purpose of an army is really to defend the nation from intruders. Yeah, it is to engage in combat, eliminating an enemy. The army is not the best instrument to use in dealing with the regular citizenry. If you have a major terrorist organization that's doing something really very, very bad, and you send the army in to get that, that's fine. But the way it's being used now is not very healthy. It's very unhealthy. The way the UIC is going to use the army is by deploying the army to really lock down our borders so that we don't have any kind of illegal guns or ammunitions coming into the country. So they're going to manage our border security effectively and cut off the supply of guns and ammunitions to the criminal forces. The army is also going to play an integral role in training our young people, not in using guns, but in discipline. So when we have this group of youngsters coming out of the school system who are not going into one of the other programs, one of the areas we're going to absorb them is in the armed forces, and we're going to give them some work, which is more like developing our forestry areas and understanding our border patrol and getting engaged in that kind of stuff, and building skills in discipline and how to be productive with their hands in a real hands-on way, right? We're also going to put some emphasis on retraining, reorienting our police from a force to a service, where they learn to respect and serve the people. So you're talking about a different kind of training here now, building their investigative skills, building their ability to properly procure and manage evidence from crime scenes, and being able to integrate with the society at the community level, and building a community policing structure that will allow the police to be, once again, a respected and responsible element in the community. This has to come with a different kind of compensation package, one that clearly states to the police that he or she is very, very valuable. You also have to raise, though, the bar, the standard for persons to qualify to be in the police force. Yeah, which we're going to now call a police service, and change the elements. But it has to be a case where to be a member of the police services that we're going to bring in place, you have to be somebody of the highest integrity, somebody who is well developed mentally, that understands how to deal with people in an effective manner, as opposed to being disrespectful and resorting to brute force unnecessarily. So this will help in that question that you have raised in addressing the garrison culture, because now you're going to have the police living in the garrison community and being a part of that community transition. You're going to have the Youth Employment Solution Program being a part of that thing, by taking the young people out of the community, so to speak, into the workforce in a very, very organized manner that makes them aware, knowledgeable, responsible, and technically competent in various areas. It also continues to what happens in our school system before they leave the school system. So the UIC is going to embark on an ambitious program to ensure that we really take our human capital seriously. So from cradle to grave, we're going to maximize our human potential. So our LEAP program, Learning Enrichment Advanced Program in Education, which will change the curriculum completely, away from just being, primarily academic and weak technical, to being a all-encompassing total person curriculum, where you're developing the skills of understanding yourself, mind, body, and spirit, how to really manage you as a person, self-management, and then understanding human behavior and human relationships, and how to build solid relationships, marital relationship, friend relationship, business partnerships. So a very different approach to education that's going to orient you to succeed in life, not just to seek a job. So our education program will ensure that the student leaves school fully understanding money, the science of money, the history of money, how to effectively manage money. And then, of course, you augment that with the academic skills, with the professional skills, and with the technical skills. We have to hurry up now and get our people into the technological age. We have languished terribly in the wilderness of ignorance because of the kind of leadership that we've had over the last several years, that have left our children way, 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 way behind. Way behind. We're graduating persons every year with just no real skills at all to match the kind of economy that we live in globally today. So the UIC is going to address that. This too will address the problem of the garrison culture. And I could go on, but let me take a few more questions and comments as well. Scotty says, no foreigners can own the land. Check out their lease documents. All right. And Sir KB says, and foreign funding. And Sir KB says, doubt all that virus relief went to relief. You see, KB, this is the thing, We really need to get away from this dependency syndrome, where Jamaica, you might not know this, but in our budget, every year in our budget, there's a line for borrowing. In the last budget, the government borrowed 13.6% of the budget. $912 billion, they borrowed 13.6%. But that's not all. They also got grants of another 0.7%, which brings us to 14%. And there's this constant dependence on others to give us money to do things. The UIC wants to change that model. We want to stop depending on anybody to give us any money, because the gifts come with strings, All the gifts that we have gotten over the years are not really gifts. Yeah, they are a way for those who are giving the gifts to control what we do here and how we do it. And the net result of all of those controls over the years have been to diminish the Jamaican people. Just look around you. Look around you. Look at our society, how diminished we are as a people. 78 years of grants and loans and all kinds of gifts from other people, giving us hospitals, giving us schools, giving us this. Where has it gotten us? I want us to become a truly independent, sovereign, self-sufficient country. I want us to become a country that can depend on ourselves to build ourselves. And we can do it. We have everything we need. I know they have told us that, I was listening just this week to an old interview by Michael Manley, and he was describing Jamaica, and he was describing how small we are and how dependent we are and how we need multilateral partners and multinational partners and all kind of stuff to come and help us out. No, we don't need them. We do not need them. What we need in Jamaica is leadership that understands how to build an economy from the ground up. Leadership that understands how to create proper internal controls, proper checks and balances. Leadership that will bring out the value in our people, that will bring out the best in our people. Leadership that will guide and direct our people to produce to their maximum potential and enjoy that production. Instead, we have had leaders who have made us dependent on foreigners, made us every minute we're looking to someone. We have our prime minister going abroad to go get some money from the US government and to be proud about it and tell us to cheer and clap. No, we don't want to cheer and clap to go beg any money from anybody. We want to cheer and clap because we've been able to produce and develop for ourselves. Yes. And so Beverly Smith here is saying there are 6 P's that accounts for the corruption in Jamaica. She says politicians, police, pastor, private sector, public sector, professionals, and others. I understand what you're saying, Beverly, but the root cause of corruption in Jamaica are the 2 governing parties. Full stop. If they had put in place proper system of governance, you would not have such massive corruption in our government, and that corruption would not have trickled down into the rest of society. Because we have had so many years of corruption, it has now become a part of our DNA. Just like in Singapore, because they have had equal number of years where they have successfully fought corruption, anti-corruption is now a part of the Singaporean DNA. The people of Singapore are anti-corrupt to the core, while the people of Jamaica are corrupt to the core. Why? In Singapore, their leadership, their government was anti-corrupt to the core. And so that trickled down to their people. And now the people of Singapore are anti-corrupt to the core. The same could have happened in Jamaica, But because these two major parties are corrupt to the core, they embraced a system of governance that is corrupt to the core, and they perfected that system of governance and made us corrupt to the core. They have designed systems where it is easier for you to engage in corruption just to get through the system than to suffer the indignity, to suffer the waste of time, to suffer the pain of going through their system. You have to opt for corruption to get through it because it is too painful. Notice when you fly out, when you go to foreign, what happens when you go to foreign? All of a sudden, the same processes and system. How many of you went abroad and had to get the fitness for your car? How come in Canada you don't feel any incentive? You don't find any avenue to go pay a person to get your fitness pass without really getting your fitness pass. You don't have that in Canada. Why? Because they created a system that makes it not encouraging for you to seek to pay off anybody to get your vehicle fitness, because you know that your fitness process is going to be legitimate. You don't feel as though the person will come and mash up your vehicle if you don't pay them money on the side to just get your vehicle through. These are the things that we're talking about. And who create these things? Who made us so corrupt? You're made that way by the leaders. Yes, by now you start to see all kind of corrupt activities down at the bottom level, but it's coming down. It is a trickle-down process, trickle-down corruption. Yeah. I see here another person writing. It looked like CK. Hope I pronounced that right. You don't have to go to the police station directly to report what you know. There are many avenues to do so and remain anonymous. So there should be no excuse in not reporting a crime. Well, why don't you tell us those avenues, CK? Tell us the avenues where we can go and report without feeling the possibility of being victimized. Tell us, please. I know we say all these things so easily, online, but the Jamaican people have a different experience. Our people are not idiots. Our people have learned how to survive. We have been surviving in a very volatile, tricky, deceptive, victimizing environment. And so people are being smart. Yeah. Yes, indeed, Elsa. It is sad and it is scary. Scotty, yes, our beaches are gone. Yeah. Somebody says, Sir KB says, Jamaica following the fool foreign cancel culture. Yes, they're trying to cancel the UIC, for sure. Trudy says, terrible times we live in now. Scotty says, don't be fooled about foreigners owning your land. And Misha Earl says, 100% it's a cesspool of corruption and partisanism. Absolutely. And Adrian Enrique says, I think that for the UIC to win Jamaica House, they will have to develop their own enclave of resources and networks, funders, donors, and powerful people outside of Jamaica that will back their campaign to propel them to victory in the next general election or so. Here's the problem, Adrian. I want us to dismiss that thinking that we need to go find some rich people to fund the UIC. I want us to dismiss that thinking. I want us to dismiss the idea that we need to do exactly what the other parties have done. Because you see, here's the problem. If you engage in, let's say, and that's not what you're saying totally, Adrian, but let me just bear with me for a minute. If you engage in corruption to win an election, you will remain corrupt still after you win the election. The things that you do to win an election characterizes you after you have won the election. So sometime I remember in my early days in the UIC, I had members who say to me to do certain things or to say certain things just to win the election, and then afterwards you can do what you really want to do. And I said to that person, after saying it first to myself and to my wife, I said, the things you do to win an election, you can't undo them after you win an election. They characterize you. That is why when the PNP and JLP gave gunmen guns to kill other Jamaicans, to intimidate other Jamaicans, when the JLP and the PNP organized Jamaicans to steal ballot boxes and stuff ballot boxes in favor of one or the other, you have people like Portia Simpson Miller getting more than 100% of the votes, which is impossible. Yeah. When you lead these kinds of actions to win elections, you change yourself and you change the people. You create a monster. You become a monster, and the people that you have led to do these things also become monsters. We don't need to win by doing what the PNP and JLP have done. We can win if all of us here purpose in our hearts that we are tired of this and we want better and we want what the UIC is offering. We can win. And the way we're going to win is by each and every one of us doing our part. Join the UIC. Volunteer. If you volunteer and you just win 10 persons over to the UIC, that is enough. So join the UIC. Volunteer. Donate. If you donate just $1,000 a month, that is enough. That will help us with gas, with printing, with data, with communications, whatever, marketing. Yeah. So if you join the UIC, volunteer to the UIC, donate to the UIC, and then you go and get your friend and your family to vote for the UIC. We can do this. We don't have to resort to finding some big donor outside that will then control your party and then control your country, and we're right back to square one. If we're going to do what the PNP and JLP did to win, and I'm not saying exactly, it might be, you're not suggesting we do exactly what they did. You're just trying to find a way. You're trying to help us out. You're trying to say, hey, what can we do to overcome this big hurdle? How can we, what can we do to get the UIC out there and to get it from, what we can do? If each and every one of you just do one small part. How many persons have you told about the UIC today? Why can't you create your own little UIC group? 10 of you, 20 of you, at work, yeah, in your community. Call up your family members overseas. Ask them to join and donate, or vice versa. Your overseas, call your family here. I was talking to one gentleman, Mr. Joseph's, I think it was last night or the night before. I kind of get mixed up because I talk to so many people now. I get all kind of calls. And he says what he does, he's calling everybody in Nuena, Jamaica, family and friends and even enemies, and tell them about the UIC, encourage them to go find out and to support their local candidates or to help find candidates. Just imagine if we all did that. Just imagine if we all got involved. No big money can stop us. Yes, the PSOJ elites will still give $300 million to the PNP. But what they can't do, they cannot buy a people who do not want to be bought. So yes, they will put on the nice advertisement. They'll put on the supermodel, Lisa Anna, nice and pretty, because we all love pretty, and nice voice and nice dressing and nice sounding and echoing the nice words. Yes, they will play that to you, but you are going to say, no, not this time. Not this time. Menaga make gonna trick me this time. You tricked me already, You tricked my mother, you tricked my father, you tricked my grandmother, you tricked my grandfather, but not this time. Now I know the truth. Now I see the full history of 78 years of what it means to vote PNP or JLP, not this time. So no matter what they tell you, no matter what nice story they come with, no matter what handouts they come with this time, no matter what promises, remember the promise about the tax-free income, $1.5 million, yeah? The promise about the growth, the promise about the sleeping with your doors open, the promise about fixed election dates, remember? The promise of free education, the promise of free healthcare, yeah? The promise of roads, and they end up with toll roads. Those of you who live in Portmore, you can't even leave your community in peace. You have to pay money to leave your community to come to Kingston or drive the other way around and get into gridlock. Yeah. So you have seen enough now to know that you cannot trust them. You must not trust them. You have given them enough trust already. Yeah. So I see here, it looked like Candy Styles saying, "Good afternoon, Mr. Patterson. I'm supporting the UIC in every way I can. I would like to know, if you win, is it possible for those corrupt politicians to be investigated and put in jail?" Absolutely, 100%. I know I'm putting my life at risk when I say this, but I can assure you that an election for the UIC is an election for justice. The UIC will see to it that all politicians, past and present, as far as the investigations will reveal, they will be brought to justice for what they have done to the Jamaican people. Every politician will have to give an account for the assets that he has accumulated, whether he holds them directly in his name or he's holding them in the name of his children or other family members or other persons who are acting as front men and women for him. Whether he used his helper or his gardener or somebody else, we're going to track down where the Jamaican people money went. And we're going to prosecute every single one of them. Never again will any politician feel comfortable participating in any form of corruption after the UIC has been elected. And we have done our Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We're actually going to offer amnesty to low-level criminals who have been used by high-level criminals. We're going to give those low-level criminals a chance to come clean about how they have been used. And if the information they provide leads to an arrest and conviction, then they are going to be given a second chance, a probation, and a chance to transition, getting skills training and employment to get themselves back on track. We are going to clean up the Jamaican system of governance. So they know. That's why they're blocking us from radio and television and newspaper, because they do not want this kind of government to come into Jamaica, because it means, not just politicians, because the connection of corruption, the crimes of corruption is a conglomerate. It is between the politicians and the PSOJ oligarchs who have colluded to steal from the Jamaican people. And we're going to find it and we're going to prosecute it. George Meeks says, "I know you will fix Jamaica." Yes, I will. Beverly Smith says, "Jamaicans are looking freedom, respect, integrity, pride in their own country." Absolutely. Those of us who have sense, my dear, that's what we want. Jamaica's present government, according to JJ, is friend with dictators and communist rulers from other countries. That too. Jamaica has gotten very, very friendly with some dictatorial forces in some unusual places. Many of us were led to believe that some countries are free countries, and we've seen where the leadership of those countries have now gone rogue, trying to implement all kind of dictatorial policies and programs. They want to they want to ban free speech from different platforms. They want to take away your right over your bodily autonomy. They tie aid to you doing things to your citizens, such as forcing them into certain digital traps to track and trace, and to implement all kind of social credit systems that will allow them to um, uh, pretty much own the people. So it's not just communist China anymore. It's not just communist Cuba anymore. The whole world is heading in a direction where we lose our freedoms. The World Economic Forum, the World Economic Organization, many global institutions are a part of a drive to eliminate individual freedom from the world and to bring us all to a common control under the leadership of global oligarchs working through local oligarchs and by extension through our political system and parliamentarians. So the UIC is vehemently opposed. We're the Freedom Party. We're the Freedom Party, we're the People's Party, we're the Education Party. So we educate, we empower the people, and we stand firmly on protecting your individual liberty, your individual sovereignty, your right to choose, your right to freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of association, freedom of choice. That's who we are. So I see Chris Lawrence, or rather Chris Lawman, saying true words, Beverly, and indeed it is. And truly, and says, hence the people are suffering. Suffering, exactly. Lots of suffering is going on here in Jamaica. Natalie Mulling says, my question is this, Mr. Patterson. What would you do about the unruly people who are hell-bent on the obstruction of the police officers and soldiers? Natalie, the people who are hell-bent on obstructing the police officers and the soldiers, they're not the problem. People will always do bad things. What you need is good policing. Yeah? So people will do bad things. You're going to have bad men and bad women in society. And what you need is a good police service and a government you have confidence in to do the work. Right now, we don't have a government that we can trust because it's not trustworthy. It lacks the credibility. It lacks the moral authority. It lacks the history of being a government you can trust. Similarly, the police force that came out of that lacks the credibility and lacks the trust. It lacks the connection with the people. And so the UIC is the answer, in that if we elect a UIC government, we now elect a government that doesn't have the baggage of the other two. We'll have a government that will have the confidence of the people, the government that will have the moral authority to do what it needs to do. And then now you will judge that government and its ability to reorganize the police force and turn it into a police service that will not only serve and protect the people, but most importantly, respect the people. So once you have now a police service that will respect as well as serve and protect, now you're going to have good results. And the police service will not respect, serve and protect the people when its government doesn't respect, serve and protect the same people. So you have to have that happening in tandem. And it means raising the quality of our policemen and women, raising the compensation, not just giving them more money, but giving them more respect. Making sure that the people we have there are the right people based on their competencies and performance, and that they're paid accordingly for the kind of work we expect them to do, and that they're given the tools to do it and the working conditions to do it. Yeah. Now, Natalie Mullins, Beverly, responding to you, says, is the unruly people or the unruly politicians and soldiers? Very good point, Beverly. And the truth is, it's all three. We have unruly people. Let's be honest. Let's be fair. We have some unruly people, but who created them? Beverly is trying to point out that the unruly people are the product of the unruly politicians and the disrespectful police officers and disrespectful soldiers who don't know how to respect people. If you saw the way they treated me when they arrested me, I did nothing wrong. Nothing at all. All I did was to go downtown on September 22nd, yeah, peacefully raise my placards and walk around and say that we are against the government trying to violate people's rights. We were promoting free speech, free movement, freedom of association, freedom of choice, and we were walking on our streets that belongs to us taxpayers. We weren't blocking traffic. We weren't destroying property. We weren't threatening anybody's lives. And the police, acting under the direction of the government, marshaled all their resources, take away their resources from real criminal problems around the country. They redirected those forces at me. And then they came, and while I was standing on the steps, peacefully speaking with the people, they came and assaulted me. One Mr. McGregor came up on that stage and with two fingers, or three, or more, pushed me in my chest vigorously, 2 or 3 times, into the arms of two other waiting police officers who grabbed my arms, took away my microphone, break off my watch, and abducted me and stuffed me into a police vehicle and charged me for resisting arrest when the whole world could see on video that I did not resist arrest. So it's not because the people are unruly. These security personnel who should be acting responsibly and respectfully, they go out and they are prepared to brutalize Jamaicans because they feel they have more rights than the rest of us. And they who should be in a better position, who should be able to better deal with a situation, a volatile situation. A little pregnant woman, how volatile can that be? A little pregnant woman expressing herself wrongly, maybe, or rightly, I don't know, but expressing herself, talking loudly, flared her hands, walk up to the police officer, or rather to the soldier, and that warrants the kind of physical abuse that was inflicted on her. Could they have not dealt with her better than that? I submit to you that they should and could do better than that. But they have no, the leaders of the country have no respect for the Jamaican people. And so they treated her in a way that demonstrated her little value, how little value she was to them and to the leadership. Yeah? Yes, that's it. Another question, it seems, I think from Adrian. She says, Mr. Patterson, will a non-partisan constitutional republic, as you proposed, require a referendum? I think that Jamaica's political system gives politicians too many discretionary powers. Even the acts and regulations, if we read them, show that. And good morning. Yes, I gather from your comment, Adrian Enriquez, that you are a very, very good thinker and somebody who is really paying attention. I wish we could multiply you by 1,000,000. The UIC's proposal of a non-partisan constitutional republic does require a referendum because the UIC is talking about changing Jamaica completely from what it is now into a beautiful, well-run, well-organized, free society. And so, yes, we are going to need to have a referendum. The UIC will have a referendum within the first year of taking office. The Jamaican people will be invited over the first year to engage in a number of town hall discussions as well as discussion in Parliament on the new constitution that we will propose with input from a number of stakeholders, with the basic premise that you have seen about the UIC so far, which is to protect individual liberty and promote personal responsibility and guarantee a safe, clean, and orderly society where all of us can live, earn, and retire with dignity in our own country in liberty. So that premise is going to be a part of this new constitution, which will restrict government to its rightful role, protect the citizens from government, and free us to never again be in a position where the dictatorial powers that you see being exerted by government can come to bear. And so, yes, we're going to have a referendum on that. And if the Jamaican people approves the new constitution, then that will go into effect immediately with a 3 to 4 year transition, where we'll spend the next 3 to 4 years now fixing what you've identified, like the regulations and acts. So we have to replace those regulations and acts with new ones. But first we have to get the constitution passed, and then we will do the transition period. In the meantime, my first 5 years in office will, so we're going to have a number of things running simultaneously. So you have the constitutional debate, the referendum, and followed by the work to put in place the appropriate acts and regulations. And then on the other side, you have, transforming our education sector, transforming our healthcare sector, transforming our economy to a truly free and fair market economy that is grassroots based, which will empower the small man as opposed to the way it is now, which empowers the big man. We're going to empower the small man and let that economy grow from the bottom up. So you're going to have a whole heap more jobs, whole heap more opportunities under the UIC model of system going forward. I see Trudian saying they are full of it, yet the people continue to act blind or deaf. I must say, Trudian, that the people are beginning to respond. If you look carefully, they started off by not voting. So the last 3 elections, 48% didn't vote, followed by 52%, then 63% didn't vote. So the people are responding. What we need now is for the people to step up to the level of saying, let's own our own party. Let's own our own party. Let's rally around and own the UIC. So for the first time in our history, we the people, not a little small group somewhere that we don't even know what was their behind the scenes intention. Here you have now a fully grassroots political movement coming up from the bowels of the people. Notice you don't have any big name PNP person or a big name JLP person like the NDM. You don't have any elitist group that's controlling the UIC. You don't have any big money from anywhere that's pushing the UIC agenda. It's just we the people, ordinary, everyday Jamaicans. Joseph Patterson is an unknown. I'm not any elite from any one of the sectors. I'm not coming from any of the 2 parties. I'm not coming from any of the big elite families that has controlled the narrative or controlled the economy in Jamaica. So this is truly the People's Party. This is a great opportunity, a perfect moment for us, we the people, to rise up, listen to Marcus Garvey, listen to Bob Marley, and emancipate ourselves from the mental slavery called PNP and JLP, tribal politics. We can emancipate ourselves from colonial ways of thinking. They want to divide us and keep us that way. They want to use partisan gimmickry and trickery to distract us and keep us that way. They want to use this division and distraction to extract our wealth, and they have done it very well. But the time has now come when we say enough is enough. We put an end to it. We turn away from both of them We turn away from the colonial construct and we build a new and better Jamaica that we call a non-partisan constitutional republic. A true republic, not a fake republic like Barbados or Guyana or Trinidad. A true republic. Their republic is simply getting rid of the name of Governor General and change it to President while keeping the same system. We don't want that in Jamaica. Let us lead the Caribbean. Let us lead the hemisphere. Let us lead the world by giving the world a true republic, a model of freedom, where you have freedom and yet still it is safe, it is clean, it is orderly. Freedom, yet still you have equal opportunity, equal rights, and equal justice. Freedom, but every child gets the nutrition, education, and healthcare that they need to succeed. Freedom, but our elderly are cared for and the unemployed can find work, and our young people have an opportunity to be apprentices that are paid so that they can become productive, engaging, empowered citizens. That's what it means to support the UIC. Let us make history and build a party, build a movement that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's what we're trying to build here. And we can do it. But I can't do it alone. We have to do it together. Yeah? So Natalie says, what is your view regarding Indicom and the Jamaica for Justice organization? They're only protecting the criminals in Jamaica. Natalie, everything which comes out of this bad system of governance, all the new organizations that they create. Remember, Jamaica is a thoroughly corrupt society. It's very corrupt. So when you say they have even things like the National Integrity Action, and you have the Office of the DPP, and you have all kinds of organizations and agencies and structures. It's like the more organizations and structures and agencies they create is the more the Jamaican people suffer. And I tell you why. The more of these that they create is the more money that is sucked out of the productive economy. And you pay more people to sit on boards, jacket and tie, eat food at your expense and my expense, have only for big talk, only for big talk all the time. And all they do is talk. You ever notice? We have all these great talk shows. Everybody, Muta Baruka, Bojo, everybody, all kind of talk shows. I don't want to mention all the names. Everybody talking. Talking. The UIC is doing. We have created a political movement to solve the problems they're talking about. And now what they need to do is to not just talk, but now to join the movement and become an active participant in offering Jamaicans an alternative to two sides of the same coin, which consistently undermines and steal from the Jamaican people. The time has come for us to stop playing the talking game. Yeah? I know many people love to call into these talk shows. They just call in and talk. And you say, oh, this and that and this and that, and we just talk. And then come election time, then excite us again with the frills. Excitement. Who is going to run in this constituency? Who is going to run in that constituency? Who is going to be the leader of the party? Who's going to be elected vice president? Who's going to be elected general secretary? And we get all excited. Foolishness. All this excitement for nothing. To go back to the very same thing of more corruption, and more corruption, more theft, more crime, and it continues and continues. Many of our children graduating still, 70% still leaving school without the competencies that they need. Our hospitals, still a fearful and tragic scene, a place where nobody wants to go. A country where the majority of its citizens are looking for a way to leave. Everybody just wants either a farm work card, a visa of any sort to get out of here. After all the excitement, to stop it. Let's stop the talk shows and stop the excitement without action. The time has come for us to now act. We owe it to ourselves to say enough is enough and cut off the umbilical cord to these two parties. Shift our mind completely. Forget about the fun times and the fun talking and the funness of any one of these, and let's focus now on building a Jamaica that is safe, clean, and orderly, with a true democracy, a true republic, rather, I should say, with systems and governance, a system of governance with checks and balances that will work for the common man, for the ordinary people. The time has come. Yeah? Yeah. So Natalie says, Beverly Smith, you are being blessed right now. You know that there is a lot of lawlessness in the people of Jamaica. I see, what is this now? It says, we will audit all the politicians and prosecute them swiftly. Correct. Another person here says, Sean, Jamaica wasn't created for the African citizens. It was created for the overlords. Absolutely. Jamaica is still following the slave master economic model, to be honest. Natalie says, or rather, Beverly says that Natalie, yes, there's lawlessness all around, the visible and invisible groups. And we have Marshall asking, how will the UIC handle the powerful outside influencers like USA and Britain? Great question, Marshall. Very, very good question. How will the UIC deal with external influences? Well, I will take a page out of Lee Kuan Yew's book, Diplomacy. We're going to be very, very diplomatic. We're not going to make the same mistake as Michael Manley in terms of how he dealt with the geopolitics at the expense of the Jamaican people. We must be more skillful and more tactful in dealing with that. So we're going to be very diplomatic. I must tell you this, the external forces, they have their agenda. And what we need in Jamaica is a government that has our agenda at heart, and which has the skills and competences to effect our agenda. Jamaica right now has no agenda. Jamaica has no plan, no vision, no mission, no nothing. We have a government and opposition with no clear agenda for Jamaica. Their only agenda is power and how long they can hold on to power. They have no plan to really transform and build the Jamaican society in any particular direction other than to keep it pretty much the way it is, where a few controls the mass of our wealth and the majority is left at the bottom. So if we're going to overcome external influences, we need to have a leadership that has a strong vision for Jamaica, which is what the UIC has, and also has the competences, particularly the economic competences. You must understand economics very well. Thankfully, I'm an accountant, a CPA by profession. I'm also a trained engineer. So I bring some skills and competencies to the table, which helps me. I've also worked outside of Jamaica and inside Jamaica. I've worked globally. I've traveled to many countries. It has given me a perspective and appreciation and understanding for what we can do here in Jamaica. For example, I want to borrow what I've seen done in the Netherlands in terms of agriculture so that Jamaica can become an agricultural powerhouse. I want to borrow what I've seen done in Singapore so we can become a tourism powerhouse by really transforming the entire country into a tourism product. I want to borrow what I've seen in some countries in terms of the tech space, how they have built, and Singapore has done this very well, building the human capital of our people so that we can become an engine for technological growth globally and facilitating companies around the world in terms of the space that we offer in that arena. I want to borrow what I've seen in Singapore's anti-corruption model. I want to really, really, drive Jamaica towards being a very, very low corrupt country. So very low on the index. We must be, one of the most anti-corrupt countries in the world. Build our productivity to bring our dollar back into a reasonable position, create stability in terms of prices so that we have stable prices so people can save with confidence and invest with confidence and so on. So a lot of stuff we want to do. But let me take some more questions here. Who have I missed? There's so many now coming in. Let me see here. Okay, look like I'm stuck here. Somebody says Joseph is Hebrew name for Joseph is a Hebrew name. The slaves do not own it. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. It says 2-0 Kevron, eh? 2-0 Kevron. Thank you for that. And Misha says, surely you don't think they are excused to do what they want. In response to Natalie, will the two party leaders go to jail? Kevron, well, if they did anything wrong, if it can be proven, they will go to jail, of course. Yeah. So let me see if there's another question here. I'm beginning to, I'm running. Let me go from the bottom now because I'm missing so many. We need to act now for the future. I missed that. Yeah, we need to act now for the future of the people of Jamaica, plus for the generations to come, says Cecile Reed. Absolutely. Silver Cat says, Mr. Patterson, what do you think about bringing big companies such as what? T-Mobile, etc. Silver Cat, it's not even so much to bring big companies. Jamaica just need to be a productive space. And then companies will come and we the people will pick and choose who we want. If we make Jamaica a great space to work in, then we get to pick who we allow into our country. So lots of opportunities there, for us to work with. Then we have the Good Shepherd saying, that Jamaica gone bad when you hear that they are importing chicken. Yes, absolutely. The Good Shepherd. Wow, I can't keep up. There's so many messages coming in. Having a hard time keeping up. But let me see if I can grab another one here. I believe that we get rid of the commissioner first, then work our way down, says the Good Shepherd. The media is also protecting the criminals. I agree with that in various ways. I'm happy you have removed the negative characters from around you and the party, says Dale Lawrence. Yes, we have what's the word? We have ejected those who were trying to usurp the party, who were trying to take over the party. They have all been ejected from the party now. But these things are common. Eh? You're going to have infiltrators all the time. So people will try to undermine anything. That's how Marcus Garvey was destroyed. Eh? It's from inside. That's how Malcolm X was destroyed. It's from inside. Even Martin Luther King was, impacted from the inside. So you're always going to have people on the inside of the organization working on behalf of others to try to bring you down. But we have survived. We survived a near miss. It could have destroyed the movement completely, but we managed to overcome. Thanks to you. At the end of the day, what I liked about what happened in the UIC recently, where we had the internal challenges, which were not good challenges. And nothing is wrong with running for anybody who can run for office, run to be president or whatever. But these people were trying to undermine the organization by using lies and innuendos. What I liked about the way it all went is that at the end of the day, you, the members, stood up and said no. The members and supporters said no. Somehow you were able to see through the smear campaign. You were able to see through the tactics to destroy my character. And you were able to rise above that and say, hell no, we have confidence in Mr. Patterson. And so that's why I'm still standing here before you today as president of this great movement that I have the privilege of having created since 2012. Not in its current form. It takes a lot of work. I mean, when I started on this journey, I mean, I could say really the UIC kind of started back when I was 7 years old, if you think about it that way. When I was 7 years old, I was busy running up and down with my mother. She was campaigning. I think it would have been leading up to the 1976 election or something like that. So I was a boy there. My mother was a staunch PNP, like, I mean, comrade to the hill. She would die for Michael Manley. So she did everything to advance the agenda of the Michael Manley PNP. And as a young boy going around with her, I saw everything. I mean, but I was very aware and I was very interested as well. I listened to the conversation. We were living at that time in this little one room, about 12 by 12. And I saw people like Carlisle Dunkley, D.K. Duncan, and some others. I can't remember all their names, but come to my mother. These politicians found the time to come to my mother's little room that we lived in. And they're around the table. It was a gray table at the time, this little old time table with the metal foot and the gray top with the floral patterns on the top. And they come and sit around the gray table with my mother, and they're planning how they're going to win a particular seat. At the time, we're talking about Marvelly. That's in Kingston, eh? Please close Marvelly UN then, all that area there, Malines Road, Washington Boulevard area. And I listened to it. I'm a young baby, but I'm hearing all of this conversation, and I could feel it. I could feel the energy to the point where on my knapsack and my school bag, I would write on the back of it, vote PNP, going to school. So I've been so caught up into this thing. And so I went to the arena with her. I was on the stage with Michael Manley. I went to the women's movement with her, sitting on Portia Simpson's lap in the women's movement meeting over by the St. Mary's Church across the other side opposite to the Marvelly side on Washington Boulevard. Drive through the community, Miss Johnson Basic School, Miss Brady, all these people as a kid. And I'm seeing all this political action and all this stuff and listening to the speeches and so on. And what was amazing is that when I got to the age of majority, the age where now I could vote, and I told my dear mother that I will not be voting PNP. She almost had a heart attack. How is it you're not going to vote PNP? Are you going to vote JLP? And I said to my mother, no, I'm not going to vote JLP either. She says, why not? I says, because of what they have done to our people. They have divided our people and they have destroyed our people, I said to her. And all they're doing is tricking you up, buying your votes. I said to her, why did you have to wait for Manley to give you a house? Because she always talk about, it's Manley, why she get this? She got a little house later on in Seaview Gardens, Manley. I said, no politician shouldn't be giving you any house. What you want is an economy that allows you to work and earn and buy your house free and clear. Not because of any politician doing anything to give you this or give you that. You must get your house, get your car, get your job, because the environment is such that you're able to learn and earn and buy what you want without depending on any political affiliation, any party affiliation. You must just have an economy that works. An economy that works. Not an economy which gives out benefits based on which party you're in. And I watched these two parties created in Seaview Gardens top site and bottom site. Bottom site is PNP and top site is GLP. And I was against it as a boy. I said, no, this is wrong. And you hear people, a GLP over Yasso and a PNP over Yasso. And I was opposed to that from I was a boy. Opposed to that. And I remember when I was down at Seaview Gardens, I was a member of the police youth club. And I organized the police youth club, and we did, community cleanups, and we created there's a community center. We fixed up the community center. We started to have evening classes to help, adults now who have graduated from high school but didn't have any subjects. So we helped them by creating self-help classes, So self-help. So I taught the adults how to teach themselves. That's something I mastered in my early years. Not to depend on teachers. So I taught them how to use a syllabus and how to organize their own personal studies and to help each other, work as a team, and benefit from each other's strengths. So you're good at fractions and you're good at algebra. Let's cross it, okay? And so we got them working, and then I went over to the other side, the top side, where you had the GLP side, and there's a youth club over there called Majestic Youth Club, I think it was called. Run by my good friend Levan Phillips, I think, and some others. And I went over to the Majestic Youth Club side, and we linked them. We got the clubs, young people, youth clubs, working together. Stop seeing themselves as GLP or PNP. Defy their parents. Rubbish that. You're not PNP or GLP. You're a Jamaican. And this is Seaview Gardens. And we need to fix up our community. And I got them to go against the idea of division. There's a train line between the two communities. And we put together a park around one section of the train line. And we put in chairs and flowers and fix up the place as nicely as we could with our limited resources. And we started having friendly competitions across the youth clubs. And then we started taking on some social issues. We needed a police outpost down there, so we lobbied for a police outpost. We realized that the sewage system was backing up down the back and creating a very unpleasant and unhealthy situation with the mosquitoes and the rashes that it was causing on the skins of the children. So at the time, PJ Patterson was in office and O.T. Williams was the MP. So I lobbied for change. It wasn't happening, so I led a demonstration which blocked Spanish Town Road. We didn't block the road, but people stopped to see what's happening. The news people came out and we talked, and so PJ Patterson kind of checked it out, and they fixed the problem to some degree. That made me enemy number one of the partisan people who got jobs to maintain the pump house, because they're like, wait a minute, because of you will lose your work. What work were you doing? They weren't doing the work, but they had the contract, and the pump house wasn't working, and the sewage was backing up, and the mosquitoes were transmitting diseases. And so I got into trouble, for that. We did the same thing for phones. We weren't having any phone lines. We lobbied TOJ at the time, telephone, whatever, of Jamaica, telephone company of Jamaica, and we lobbied them. It wasn't working. We led a demonstration for that too. Then we got phone lines, come down there. So this UIC mindset started way back from when I was a kid, coming out of the experience with my mother and Seaview. And when I moved to Meadowvale, I helped out with the Citizen Association as a young man there as well. I got involved in a lot of productive enterprises on the ground. Same thing in high school, secondary school. So by the time I came back to Jamaica in 2011, I was really ready now. I was ready now. I had worked in Canada all the way up to being a director in government with responsibility for financial controls and financial reporting, the public accounts and all of that. So I've had some experience there on the government side, worked in private sector, VP of finance for a school board, director of finance in a few major companies, chairman for global social impact fund. So I had a lot of experience now, a lot of knowledge, and pretty much exposed to a lot of things. So I came back to Jamaica in 2011, and after that, When I came back in 2011, I was kind of shocked at how behind we still were, after so many years. Why are we still where we were? You know, um, Again, I could not bring myself to join any of the two. Couldn't. There's no way. I mean, I know that joining them, I would just become a part of the problem. Okay, so they're set in their ways. Organizations over time become a creature of their own. It doesn't matter who the PNP elects or who the JLP elects as their leader. It's still the JLP, it's still the PNP. The DNA of those two parties are set. The way they operate, the way they think, their approach to solving problems are pretty much set. You understand? Corruption is a part of that DNA. Dependence on the PSOJ oligarchs for funding is a part of that DNA. They cannot think outside the box. So it doesn't matter. I know they're talking now about Mark Golden, or he replaced Peter Phillips, or should it be Lisa Anna? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you elect as leader of the PNP. The PNP is what it has become. It is a monster of its own DNA that was developed over 84 years of its existence. So it can't change. The JLP is the same thing, from Bustamante to Sangster to Shearer, all the way through to Siaga, Bruce Golden, and now Andrew. If you notice, Andrew, for example, is the first post-independence prime minister we've had, born after 1962. And you'd think that he would come with something fresh and new and it's just more of the same. It's the same JLP today as it was in 1980, as it was in 1970, as it was in 1960. The same. Yes, over time things change, but the change has been into what it has become. So the DNA of the GLP is now set. After 78, 79 years of its existence, the DNA of that party is set. The way it operates. So Andrew being young at the time was no different. He had spent, years under the tutelage of Edward Seaga. So Andrew reflects the values of Edward Seaga, and Edward Seaga reflects the values of Bustamante, and Bruce Golden reflects the values of the era of Seaga. And so the DNA of the organization is in them. So even though these persons now rise up out of that ashes to become the leader of their respective parties. Sorry about that. Even though these persons now rise to become the leaders of their respective parties, they still reflect the DNA of that party. And the DNA now of the two parties, if you notice, there's no more ideological difference between them. It's not now about socialism versus capitalism. That's no longer a differentiating, and it was a facade, by the way, because both parties were socialist parties. It's not like it's one or the other. They both believe in government controlling you, government deciding what is best for you. That is the ethos of socialism. And don't get me wrong, the values of socialism in terms of claiming to want to care about providing for the poor and equality and so on, those are just words. What you have to look at is the reality. Once you give men tremendous power over other men, you're going to have some serious corruption problem. And so socialism always falls on its sword of corruption, because you're giving people power over other people. What the UIC wants to do is to put the power back into the hands of the individual by giving him or her a structure, a society, which makes sure that he is safe, which makes sure that the environment is clean, which makes sure that there is public order so that he can learn and grow and achieve his or her full potential, because the system, the environment is designed for him to achieve his or her best self. So that's what the UIC is trying to do. So we're transcending the socialist capitalist dichotomy, which, by the way, the two major parties have. They have become purely power hungry. Their only focus now is power. For them, politics is a game. Who can play the game the best to get back power? So when they're writing their manifesto, they have no clear plan for Jamaica. The manifesto, like the one that Damian Crawford wrote for the last election, was about what can we put forward that we can use to excite the people to vote for us right now so we can get back power. Yep. And the Andrew Holness group, what can we put forward now so we can excite the people so we can get back power? And the PSOJ is, let's sit back, give them some money, and let them excite the people so they feel like we've had an election. But whatever happened, both of these two parties must know that we, the PSOJ, is in charge. And if they don't do what we say, come next election, we're going to pull down the funds a bit and make sure so them can, get whatever. So at the end of the day, the people of Jamaica needs to know that the current system, the current parties, and the oligarchs behind it will never do what's in the best interest of the Jamaican people, which is good governance, because the system is working just the way they want it to work. Just the way they want it to work. Yeah. Silver Cat says, Mr. Patterson, as president, would you hold your party accountable for misbehaving? Yes, as president, I will hold my party accountable. But more importantly, Silver Cat, is will the UIC create a system of governance that holds us all accountable? And to that, the answer is a resounding yes. That's what we want. We want a system that transcends party, a system that transcends personality, a system that can stand the test of time and protect the Jamaican people from all kind of bad politicians. Denise says, Mr. Patterson, drop the song Deliverance by Dennis Brown. It says it all. Thank you very much, Denise. Appreciate that. Yes. The Good Shepherd says, remember that they have been doing this for a long time. We just need to vote them out. Absolutely, Good Samaritan. That's what we need to do. Trudy says, I have young children and hope they will have the opportunity of being better citizens. Absolutely. The Good Shepherd said yes. Yvonne, or is it Yvonne or no? Johanna, I think Johanna says, what are able to do now? How can we help? I think you're asking what can we do now? Johanna, I'm going to make it very simple. What you can do now, join the UIC. So go on our website and sign up so that you can get information from us by email and so on. Click the volunteer button so you can volunteer in a space that makes sense for you to do something. Donate. First, start by paying your membership dues, $1,000 a month, so that we have some money to continue to operate. And 4, make sure that not only you vote, but bring a group of people to vote with you. If you can get 10 other persons to vote UIC, that's good. 20, even better. So just make sure you start to work on getting the word out and telling your family and friends that you support the UIC and they should too. All right. Dale Lawrence says, I am happy you have removed the. All right, we got that. Appreciate that. The Good Shepherd, I believe that we get rid of that commissioner. Oh, I think I read that before. Let's see what else we have near the bottom here. So many to go through. Mr. Patterson, what do you think about bringing? Oh, I read that too. Okay, so I need to go way down. Let's see what we have at the bottom here. Tag and share says Alice. Yes, please. Everybody share, share, share the live. What else we have here? Out of many one people, out of many one people. Yes, they are encouraging production of our agricultural products by other countries. Example, China now produces ginger and cocoa. My God, eh? How sad. And we're being left behind. Good Shepherd says divide and conquer, Mr. Patterson. So many questions here, so many comments. Let me just say thank you to all of you. Eh? It's been a long chat this morning, almost 2 hours. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being on. Let's go out here and do it now. Let us let us prove the PSOJ oligarchs wrong. They believe that their big money is what will determine the next election. They believe that by controlling the media and blocking the UIC, they can again win the next election. Let us, the people, we the people, rise up now, join hands together, spread the word about the UIC, join, volunteer, yeah, join, volunteer, and vote. Tell your family, your friends, your neighbors, even your enemy to vote UIC. Come forward, become a candidate. That's one of the problems we have. We need more candidates. So come forward wherever you are. If you're overseas, help us to find a local candidate, adopt a candidate, and help that candidate. Let us make sure we have all 228 across all the divisions and 63 across all constituency. We're depending on you. I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. But we are stronger than me. We are stronger together. One Jamaica, one UIC. Let us do it. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and I'll see you soon. Take care.